him up near Red Rock. You know, he was the toughest animal I ever had in the show.
That sounds like Smokey, all right. Where is he?
He fell one day while we were playing here last year and was pretty badly hurt, so I had to get rid of him.
What do you mean?
Well, he had made so much money for me, I didn't want to shoot him.
National popular vote. However, there is no way, if it's anywhere near that margin, that Trump would win states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio, where he's neck and neck at the moment with Joe Biden, and where the former governor, very popular Republican governor, John Kasich, has announced that he is going to be speaking at the Democratic convention. Now, probably that won't be a very memorable.
Well, I've got the necessary capacitors changed, and the resistors that needed to be changed that were out of spec, and I've got the dial lamps, pilot lamps wired in. We kind of figured out what they did with this by removing the ballast tube and other rectifier tube. They put a diode in here, and you can't really see the diode because this resistor's in the way. But we this switch has dual, the on-off switch tone control has dual contacts for the power. So both the line and the neutral both get turned off. So if you did not have a polarized connector, which I did put on here, but if you did not have a polarized connector, when the switch is turned off, there is no power sitting on the chassis of this radio. This is the way they should have done all, in my opinion, how they should have wired or used this type of switch on all these all-American radios. All of them that don't have a transformer and do not use a polarized plug, because they didn't have polarized setups back then. So as you know, you had a 50-50 chance of plugging this connector in, this non-polarized connector. You had a 50-50 chance of plugging it in to the neutral on the chassis, or power the line on the chassis. So we all know, if you've worked on these radios, you know what that leads to. You know, you can get hurt pretty bad if it's turned off and you touch the chassis. You know, you're reaching around, moving this around, cleaning, or, you know, for whatever reason you end up touching the chassis and you're grounded. You could actually get shocked pretty bad. You could even die from it, possibly. It's just dangerous. So if they would have all used this dual contact switch, that would have never been a problem. So I really got to give GE some props for doing that. It's a really great idea. Like I said, they all should have done it. So when I wired in the lights, I had to put a shunting resistor in, and it took me a long time. I did the math several different ways to come up with the shunting resistor, and the shunting resistor that I came up with the math was way too low. The lights would barely even come on, and the resistor was getting very hot. So I did not have an 85 ohm 5 watt resistor, so I ended up taking 230 or 243 ohm resistors and wiring them in series. So 86. It seems to work pretty good. The lights are a little bit dim. I've messed around with this. So how I ended up wiring it is I wired the filaments in series. I wired the lights in series with the heating element filaments. And so when you turn the radio on, they get very bright. And if you do not have the correct resistor or close to the correct resistor, the lights will instantly burn out. The other way I could have wired it, because this is a 50Z5, I think it is, or a 35, no, 50 50Z5. Let me get the, because I got the, I have it out right now. So let me look and see. 35Z5 is what's in here. 35Z5. Z5. 35Z5. Well, it's got the 3 taps for your filament, the center tap on the filament for the lights. And if I wire it in that way, the lights are really super dim. The radio functions, but the lights they're barely even on. So this was the best way I could come up with to wire it. It seems to work good. The radio works very good. It's very loud. We'll eventually run it here for you so you can hear it, but what I wanted to show you right now is that I got all of the capacitors changed and the resistors, and I've checked everything in here. It seems to be okay. I have not been able to receive anything really on the other 2 bands, the shortwave 1 and 2. I've screwed around with it and it is working. The oscillator's working on those other 2 bands. The switch is a little bit flaky a little bit. I do need to clean the contacts on that. I have not done that. But what I wanted to show you is how this chassis, I'm going to try and clean this chassis up some. It's pretty dirty. So we'll get a look at it here. Let me spin it around. Let's see if we can. Yeah, it's pretty dirty. It's a dirty bird. It's a dirty bird. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here and clean up this chassis some. See if I can get... This stuff's on here pretty good. So I'm hoping I can spend some time and get it off of here. I want to clean this up some anyway. Nobody's ever going to see it, but I just want to get the major dirt off of it, right? I don't think it's corroding or anything. I will get that and we'll be back. I'll clean it up as best I can and we'll take a look at it and see how it looks. Maybe we'll plug it in and run it. I don't know. Eventually we will. I want to get it cleaned up really well. But I have to say that this radio does work pretty good. It does receive very well. The alignment appears to be correct. I did a lot of complaining about the wiring and how they did it. How they did their soldering was crap. But I have to say that they knew enough how to wire this without the ballast resistor and only one of the rectifier tubes. So instead of have both rectifier tubes, it's only got one. They wired it well enough. They knew enough to wire it correctly. So I got to give them props for that, figuring that out. That's a big challenge to eliminate the ballast tube and one of the rectifier tubes. The voltages do not match what the original radio specifications or close to it, because I'm not sure if this is a 216 or a 153, an X216A or an X153 A or B, because the 153 came in dual voltages and the 216 came in dual voltages. It could either be 220 or what we have here in America is the 110, whatever, or 120. But the voltages are within spec for an All-American 5 standard, All-American 5 or 6. The voltages are on and the radio works. It doesn't hum. It works fine. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is for right now. Electronically, I'm just going to clean it up from this point and see how I can make it work. I'll be back when I get this cleaned up a little bit better and we get a better look at how it operates possibly. There's some other things I need to do, but nothing major. I think the major part of the radio has been done. I might possibly be able to get the cabinet refinished. There's a lady I know. She's an older lady and she refinishes furniture, and she says that it would take her probably like a day to redo one of these cabinets. So I might give her this one, because this radio's so hacked up anyway. It's not even close to being the way it come from the factory, that it might be a good radio to let her work on the cabinet and see how she does on the cabinet. We'll see. Okay, we'll see you in a few here when I get the when I get the chassis cleaned up a little bit better, if I can get this off, because this stuff is Boy, it's really on there. All right. Well, I've worked on it for about 40 minutes here and have gotten very little headway on it. Whatever it is that's on this, whatever this is, I have no idea what it is. It appears to be like some sort of coating somebody put on here, and then the dirt has adhered to it, or it's faded and or it got I'm not sure what it is, but I have tried several methods. I've even tried brake clean, the old standby brake clean, did not cut it. Electrical contact cleaner did not cut it. Alcohol did not cut it. I put the alcohol away, that did not cut it. I thought, well, 409, I'll let some 409 sit on it. That's where I started with, was 409, and let it sit for a while. It got the dirt, surface dirt off, but it didn't get it down to the metal. I tried the, this is Neverdol. I love this stuff. This stuff works wonders on things. It's not cutting it either. The only way I've been able to get this crap off of here is with an X-Acto knife. So whatever it is that's on here, I'll try and scrape some off here on camera if I can. It comes off as a powder. I'm not sure what it is, and I don't know if I want to be disturbing it at this point since I don't know what it is. And it's kind of screwing up the finish, you know, scratching the metal with the knife. So not a good way to go, not a good look. It doesn't bother me. It's going to be in the case and you're never going to see it. I just wanted to get the dirt off of it, and apparently it's not dirt. I've scraped it with a screwdriver to start with, and that really screwed the finish up. You can see it right there. That really screwed the finish up. This next to it, I use the X-Acto knife, kind of shaving it, using it as a shaver, and it's still scratching it. You can see it scratching the high spots where the, you know, this finish is not flat. The finish that they put on here is not perfectly smooth. It's got some irregularities to it, how they coat it, and it is definitely it's definitely the knife, the X-Acto knife scrapes it, and it's just taken the whatever this finish off is, and I don't want to remove the finish that's protecting it from corroding. So I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit more. I'm going to try and clean it. I've done pretty much everywhere. There's some spots like up under here you can't really get to, that I'm going to have to use a screwdriver and try and just clean it out as best I can with some solvent or 409 or whatever, just get the dirt out. I thought for sure the brake clean would break it down and melt it, and the alcohol, I have no idea what this is. Man, that stuff is on there. I am not going to scrape this. It's going to look like crap when I'm done. And I don't want to remove everything out of this chassis. I'm not trying to restore this radio. That's not my goal. I kind of want to preserve the radios, is what my goal is. It's kind of like, if it's in good enough shape to start with, like an old car, you make it work, right? Function properly and safely. That's kind of my goal. It's not like a resto mod. This is kind of like a resto mod, sort of. I just kind of want to preserve them, you know, so they'll function for another 70, 80 years is what I would like to see. And I would like to refinish some of the cases that are in pretty bad shape. But if the cases are in, the cabinets are in good enough working order or good enough shape to just clean it and put some protectant on it, you know, like some wax or whatever, and make it just last another, like I said, another, you know, 70, 80 years. I don't think anybody might be interested in this stuff in 80 years, but when they built this stuff, they probably thought the same thing. Nobody would be interested in it, you know, in 2020, when they built these things in 1930, 40, you know, whatever. So it's never been my goal to fully restore. The first radio, that clock radio, was in such good shape. It was nice to make it look good, try and get the scratches out of the case, you know. That's where I'm at on this. I just want it functioning properly and to look fairly nice. You know, I want you to be able to go over to see it on the shelf and go, yeah, that's an old radio. Look at how good a shape that is in for its age. You know, I don't want to see one perfect, in my opinion, unless it's original and somebody's taking painstaking care of it. I mean, it is a radio from 1942 or whatever year this radio is. I don't know, because I don't know the exact model number of this radio. So that's where we're at with this. I am going to put the tubes back in it after I'm done cleaning on the chassis a little bit more. And we'll see how the radio works, possibly. Double check the alignment. A little bit of work needs to be done to the speaker, not a whole lot. The grill cloth needs to be replaced. I don't know that there's too much more that really... besides doing a full restoration, which I'm not into doing. I did add grommets here, and I replaced this wire for the antenna. The other wire was just garbage. It had been replaced anyway. It wasn't cloth covered like these speaker wires are. And I put these grommets in here where they go through. I replaced the power cord, as you can see, and put a grommet there where it comes through. I think this adds some safety, especially here. Adds some safety to the radio and functionality. You know, going forward, this is never going to wear out on the metal and short out. Same thing with the antenna. This is never going to wear out and short out on the chassis and cause the radio not to function properly. So I'll wrap it up for now.